Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Mike and Nick and Alice. This is a new movie that's available on Hulu, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
So we're going to be talking about that in full spoilers. We've also got our typical On the Horizon segment where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And we actually have a pretty packed news segment this week because CinemaCon is ongoing right now. So we're going to have probably even more stories next week because it's still happening tomorrow. But we're going to talk about what's kind of come out of CinemaCon so far. And we're also going to talk about some trailers, some of which were also at CinemaCon. But let's get started with our On the Horizon segment.
On the horizon.
As I mentioned, On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. It's kind of a small segment this week. We're going to start things off with From. This is the series with Harold Perrineau. It's supposed to be like a mystery. It's very like Lost coded apparently, but it's returning for its next season on Sunday, April 19th on MGM Plus. That's why I haven't watched it yet, because it's an MGM Plus show and I don't have that fringe streamer. Kevin, which is a new animated series that's about a house cat that goes stray, and it features the voices of Jason Schwartzman. It was created by Aubrey Plaza, who also provides a voice in it. That's coming on Monday, April 20th to Amazon Prime. Half Man, which is a new limited series from Richard Gadd. He's the guy that made Baby Reindeer that won a bunch of Emmys and Golden Globes and stuff. It was kind of a big deal. That's coming on Thursday, April 23rd to HBO. And then Stranger Things Tales from 85. This is like what they call their Saturday morning cartoon, even though it's dumping on Netflix on Thursday, April 23rd. So not really Saturday.
Not really Saturday. Doesn't really look like an 80s cartoon.
Yeah, it's like CG and stuff, yeah. Kind of a shame. They should have gone for the X-Men 97 approach and tried to nail that stuff.
Oh yeah, they definitely should have. It's man. Way to fail the assignment.
But that's it for our On the Horizon segment, and now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat. As I mentioned at the top of the show, CinemaCon is going on right now, and so that means there's a lot of movie news, a lot of trailers that aren't being publicly shown, some that were, but a lot that were not. So we're kind of go over some stuff that was shown, some stuff that was announced. Yeah, basically anything that kind of was important and had enough information from what we were able to glean to be worth talking about. The first story we're going to talk about is Evil Dead Burn. This is a new Evil Dead movie. It's coming this year. They showed some footage from it. Reactions I've heard is that it looks really good. A lot of people are saying it looks way better than Evil Dead Rise, which I liked as well. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's from some of the descriptions I heard about the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds like they're going for the really mean-spirited kills that Evil Dead is really good at.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it before. I think I mentioned it when I was talking about Send Help, but one of the things that Sam Raimi is really good at and that he established with Evil Dead is a mark of Evil Dead, even though he's not doing this Evil Dead movie, just like he didn't do Rise, is his ability to find the line of decency and just push past it and then push past it more and then push past it even more.
Yeah.
And just finding that perfect spot past that line. That's something he was really good at when he made the original Evil Dead movie, and it's something that is kind of carried through the remakes and the other Evil Dead movies that have come out since. So it sounds like that's still in effect, which is great. They also announced, after showing that footage, that another Evil Dead movie was greenlit, which is called Evil Dead Wrath, and that was announced to be coming out in 2028. So just 2 years down the line, another Evil Dead is coming, besides the one we're getting this year. So that's good news for me. Next up,
absolutely.
They finally showed a trailer for Clayface. This was not shown outside of CinemaCon, so Will and I have not seen this trailer.
I want to clarify, all the trailers that they showed were only at CinemaCon. They were not
Most
released.
of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. Like Godzilla Minus Zero, they released.
Godzilla Minus Zero, they released. That's one of the very few. I would say
pretty much it, yeah. There's some others, but they're ones that we weren't going to talk about anyway, like Fokker-in-Law. They released the trailer for that.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to talk about that. It doesn't really match our demographic at all.
But yeah, they showed a teaser for Clayface. I haven't read a description. I don't really want to be spoiled on it. It's fine. But this is the next DCU movie coming after Supergirl. I believe this is coming in the fall.
Yeah. What I've heard about it, and without going into any details about what was shown and stuff, but from what was shown in the trailer and the way it was described, is that it is going full body horror.
Yes.
Really disconcerting imagery and stuff.
Which is really what you should be doing with a Clayface horror movie.
Yeah. But I mean, and they kind of mention that that's what they're going for, but you don't really know if that's what they're actually going for until you see it. And from what people are saying outside of the trailer, they are 100% going that direction. Game of Thrones. There's a Game of Thrones connected movie, another spin-off, but not a series, a feature film called Aegon's Conquest, which, I wonder what that's about. It is coming sometime in or after 2027. It was kind of just written on a card that happened. It was part of a section that said 2027 and beyond. So it's coming either in or after 2027.
Further information. But we know that it's being written by the showrunner for House of Cards.
He's a writer on Andor, yeah.
And a writer on Andor, yeah.
Beau Willimon is the writer.
Thank you. Beau Willimon, yes. I was trying to remember that. Super talented writer, so that's promising.
I think this makes sense as a feature film too, because Aegon's Conquest, from what I know about it, just from, watching Game of Thrones and from hearing things, it doesn't sound there's a lot of machinations and fun and character development and stuff. It's just more of a spectacle.
Yeah.
Of complete dominance,
there's not
basically.
Enough there. There's not enough there for a series.
It's just overwhelming dominance,
It's mostly overwhelming dominance until Aegon tries to take over Dorne and then gets stuck in a boondoggle because he can't effectively fight the Dornish. And they end up remaining independent.
But this sounds like it makes more sense for a movie than a lot of the other projects. Game of Thrones as a movie, I don't know how that would work. There's just too much,
Right.
Even if you broke it down into a movie for each book or something, it's still, it's way too dense. There's too much. Same thing, House of the Dragon, way too dense.
Yeah.
I guess you could maybe have done Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but I really like the way that turned out as a series, so I think that kind of works better.
The thing about Aegon's Conquest that it works as a movie is because this isn't a book, this isn't a story, this is just part of the lore, part of the history of Westeros that George created,
This is mythos.
This is mythos. Yeah, exactly. So that's easier to do as a film.
Yeah, and it's also, I just think it makes more sense because it's also just a huge spectacle. It's probably about as big of a spectacle as you can get in that entire universe.
Oh yeah.
Everything that happens. So doing that for a feature film makes more sense in that direction too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now this takes us to the Zach Krieger Power Hour, baby.
So Zach Krieger, it's interesting because Zach Krieger showed up at Sony and also Warner Brother. Is Amblin who owns Amblin? Who is
DreamWorks?
DreamWorks, yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. He's working for a number of companies, I think. Sony is the one that kind of, he was there for, but then a lot of news related to him was coming out during the course of CinemaCon, including one of the stories we're going to go over wasn't even at CinemaCon. It just was a news story that came out at the same time.
Oh, Amblin is Universal, so that's probably,
He's kind of is popping up in all of the presentations. It's weird. I mentioned this to you when I was putting the notes together, but it's weird going through all the notes at once, trying to put show notes together for our podcast tonight and going through the notes and just seeing certain names popping up so many times. And the ones that I can really account for that I'm okay, yeah, these names popped up a lot were Zach Krieger and Jenna Ortega and Jason Momoa too. Their names popped up a lot. They were they were like, really making the rounds at CinemaCon. But Krager is probably the most significant of the ones that were frequently at CinemaCon this year.
Yeah. So Zach Krager was there for Sony, and he was there for Universal Pictures.
And he was referenced in Warner Brothers, too, because Warner Brothers owns Weapons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Weapons was Warner Brothers. So, and Warner Brothers announced they were doing the Weapons spin-off, Gladys.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Zach Krieger's Resident Evil. From all accounts, it just sounds like a white-knuckle thrill ride. It's a guy going from A to B and just being assaulted on all sides by, waves of zombies.
It's the junkie character from Weapons. That actor is the actor that's in it. And
okay.
And it's him, and he's going through, and it's just like a zombie wasteland horror show. And he's just going through it, trying to survive and get past it, and just most horrific things are happening.
And Zach
Krager, he's just there.
Zach Krager said that's going to be the entire movie.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the right way to do it. You don't try to because Resident Evil has kind of whacked out storylines that don't really make a lot of logical sense and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're really wacky.
So instead of trying to recreate that, you just have something that's set in that,
Yeah.
You Mad Max Fury wrote it.
Yeah, he Mad Max Fury wrote it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool take. I'm looking forward to it. They also announced that he's doing an original sci-fi picture, The Flood, for Amblin Entertainment.
With Spielberg producing, yeah.
Yeah, with Spielberg, because it's through Spielberg's production company, Amblin. So,
but I think he's also just directly producing it. He's not he's hands-on producing it, apparently. I've read things recently where Spielberg's been kind of fanboying over Krieger, so it makes sense.
Yes.
It's I could imagine Spielberg wanted to work with him at some point,
Man, I did Spielberg fanboying over the guy who bought a gallon of PCP.
Spielberg loves PCP.
He loves PCP. Okay, no, The Flood is with Warner Brothers. Okay.
Okay, it is. So, yeah.
Okay, I had to look it up because it's Amblin, and Amblin is apparently owned by Universal, but this is with Warner Brothers. So this is the way things get confusing.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, yeah.
Well, they're all going to be the same company in 2 years anywaes.
Yeah, true.
They're all going to be Paramount, Skydance, Warner.
Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers, Universal.
Netflix.
And then it's going to be Paramount, Warner Brothers, Universal, Amazon, and then Netflix, Disney, Fox. That's going to be our two companies.
Yeah.
Making all of our entertainment.
And then all those two companies, those massive two companies are going to merge, and they're going to become Wayland Yutani.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's wait, where did that name come from?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
As you mentioned earlier, they also announced the Weapons spinoff Gladys. What they announced for this, we already knew this was being worked on, is that it's dated for September 2028. Krager is not directing, but he is producing and co-writing the movie. And then this was not at CinemaCon, but it was announced that Krager and his producing partner, Roy Lee, are producing a movie called Little One that's going to be the feature directorial debut of Krager's friend Alex Kavatoski, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, about a sudden change in a child's behavior that leads to some crazy shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Because Krager doesn't just direct, he also produces, like he did with Companion, for example.
Yep.
Sony announced, speaking of Sony, The Legend of Zelda has finished filming.
It's finished filming. That doesn't mean the movie's already come out. It's got a full year of post-production. They gotta do special effects.
I know, probably gonna be reshoots too and stuff, I'm sure.
And reshoots. So it's got ways, but the principal filming has finished. It's still on track for a May 2027 release.
How did they finish principal photography without it leaking that Chris Pratt is going to be doing the voice of Ganondorf?
How did they finish principal photography without leaking that Megan Mullally is Tingle?
Yeah. Why is Nick Offerman fucking Tingle in this movie?
Yeah, why is Nick Offerman Tingle?
No, why is Nick Offerman fucking Tingle? You said Megan Mullally.
Why is the entire supporting cast just the cast of Parks and Rec?
Yeah. Why not? Why ask why? Try, but try.
Exactly. So that's cool. We're probably going to get more information on Nintendo Direct or something in the future.
And now we have a story in two parts. It starts with jubilation and ends in tragedy. So start the jubilation, Will, and then also ruin it for everybody.
Sony announced Bloodborne!
An animated Bloodborne movie.
Yeah.
R-rated animated Bloodborne movie. What could possibly ruin that? Being produced by YouTube influencer Jacksepticeye.
Here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on it. It's like, I don't want to judge too harshly. I don't know Jacksepticeye. I don't know, like, what he's been involved in or, like, whatever he brings to the table. Okay, fine. I'll be fair. I'll give him a chance. But it's not the thing that fills me with, hope or excitement.
Yeah.
Unannounced.
He's not directing it.
He's just producing it.
Yeah.
So, we still don't know, like, the people, the writers or the directors behind this, which is, like, that's annoying to me because it's like, okay, somebody's directing this. Somebody wrote a script for this. It wasn't Jacksepticeye, or they would have said so.
Yeah, why are we talking about an Irish Let's Play?
But that's the name they decided to promote here. Instead of like anybody more closely like involved.
At least Markiplier actually wrote and directed.
Yes, he did. And Iron Lung, yeah.
And he was actually interested in filmmaking from the get-go, like before his channel and stuff. So.
Right. And he based it on a game, like he was clearly passionate about it. Like Iron Lung was a passion project from him, and it wasn't like funded like by a big company like Sony. It was like an independent production that he like worked really hard to get out there, and he got it into like a small number of theaters, and it like organically blew up. It's kind of like Markiplier's thing is like a real indie success story.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Sony owning this IP, and they approached Jacksepticeye with this. So this is like a totally different thing from that.
I just can't wait to see Hasanabi's Densha attack.
Yeah. It's happening. Yeah, like, I got mixed feelings about this whole thing. I hope it's awesome. Also, it's like, why not do a Bloodborne remaster or remake? Do a 60 FPS patch for Bloodborne. Something I think that's what people really want.
I mean, we're getting Bloodborne too. Kind of.
Sort of.
If they ever talk about it again.
It's supposedly releasing this year, so I imagine it'll be in the next Nintendo Direct.
Which is supposed to be in like June now, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be June.
Yeah, I was hoping there was going to be a March or April one, but March is long gone and April's like wrapping up.
we're already in the middle of April and still nothing on the horizon, so yeah.
And rumors that have leaked and stuff seem to be putting it in at June instead, so.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with that one, if that happens. When that happens. Our next news story, Godzilla -1. Director Takashi Yamazaki is making his first English-language film. He's partnering with J.J. Abrams. It's going to be called Grand Gear, and it's being described as mechas fighting kaiju. I guess they showed some footage of it. I didn't hear too terribly much about it, but I guess there's some footage of it that was shown at CinemaCon.
Yep. I mean, it sounds exciting because I love Godzilla -1. It's a fantastic film, and like, obviously, if there's anybody you're going to trust with kaiju and giant mecha, Yamazaki is probably like one of the best guys for it.
I just wish that when they announced that, they went to like Guillermo del Toro's house, and he's like, why are you at my house with a live camera? And they're like, oh, just putting it on your face right now. Okay, watch this.
Yeah, we took your idea. But, I mean, it's fine. There's more than one way to do the same idea. So it's like, I don't get bothered by that anymore because it's kind of like, if you think about it, if you sit there and really try to think about it, like, everything's been done. Everything you can think of has been done in some form, especially in a modern media age where, like, there's just constantly stuff coming out.
It depends on the vision of who's doing it, too. I mean, like, we know what Guillermo del Toro's version of this movie looks like. We're gonna see what Takashi Yamazaki's vision of this idea looks like. I mean, but what would, like, Robert Eggers' version of this look like? You know? What would Denis Villeneuve's version of this look like?
Robert Eggers' version of this would be like, if I have to film a robot, I'm gonna puke.
Yeah. It's just like puke spreading across the celluloid of the film.
Yeah.
What does Sam Raimi's version of this look like?
Yeah, it's all
what
about... What
does Lord and Miller's version of this look like?
It's all about the interpretation of the creative of the auteur, really.
Yeah.
So what do they bring to the concept?
Yeah. So Takashi Yamazaki was there not for this. He was there for a different reason. We're going to get to that when we hit our trailer section, but I thought I'd just bring that up, that one of the trailers we're talking about was from CinemaCon.
Yes. One of the trailers they actually released to the public, surprisingly.
Yes.
It's not a long trailer though. So.
Yeah. Kind of more of a teaser, I should say.
Yeah.
We got another movie, Everybody Wants to Fuck Me, which is considered a temporary title, I guess. They said they made some joke about it being like a temporary title or like God, what's the term?
They are definitely not releasing it with that title.
I think they'll just call it Everybody Wants to F Me or something. But this is going to be a raunchy comedy about a man played by Taron Egerton who becomes progressively more attractive to people. And it starts off with him having a bunch of raunchy sex, and then it's clearly becoming a problem as the movie progresses. It goes from oh, all these people want to fuck me, this is great, to shit, everybody wants to fuck me, what the fuck is happening, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
I think this would be cool if they nail the raunchy comedy aspect of this.
Right.
If they nail that, I think it'll be really good. If they kind of go the Judd Apatow route of it's funny for about half an hour and then the rest of it is moralizing and shit, it might not be that fun. But this is basically the concept of an episode of Buffy.
Yeah.
There's an episode of Buffy where everybody, there was a spell that was cast and everybody was attracted to Xander, and to the point where they were going to tear him apart.
Yes, I remember that episode. Yeah. Again, another example of every idea's been done. It's
By
you read
Buffy.
this and you think, yeah, Buffy did it. New Taron Egerton movie, Buffy did it.
Yeah. You know what else Buffy has done?
What?
Werewolves.
Yeah, werewolves are definitely in Buffy, and they're also coming back to your cinema on Christmas, no less.
Yep, Christmas Day.
How's
Werewolf
that for a segue?
Yeah, this is cool. I guess Christmas Day is the new, Eggers film drop day, because Nosferatu also came out on Christmas Day. So.
You know what? It's gonna be, very, very appropriate when, Eggers' Christmas Carol adaptation comes out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That's literally been the long game the whole time.
Yes. It's all been building to this. It's his Avengers.
It's his Avengers. It's literally I'm gonna release a bunch of movies on Christmas Day so I can make a Christmas Carol and release it on Christmas.
If you wondered why at the very end of Nosferatu after the credits, why Ebenezer Scrooge showed up and said that he wanted to start the Eggers initiative.
Yeah.
Well, now you know what this has all been building towards. But yeah, Robert Eggers' new movie, Werewolf, spelled Werwulf. They showed a trailer for it. We didn't get that trailer, unfortunately. I'd love to see that.
Again, a lot of cool stuff was shown at CinemaCon that the public does not get to see.
Yep. Some of the stuff that it gets shown at places like Comic-Con, CinemaCon, D23, these really cool things that we hear about. Sometimes we don't get the trailer publicly released for a year.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which hopefully that's not the case with Werewolf since it's coming out this year.
Yeah. They're gonna release the trailer.
That'd be a weird marketing strategy.
They're gonna release the first trailer next April after the movie's been in theaters. After the movie's on home video.
After the movie's already available to stream.
Yeah.
The movie's been available to stream for 3 months and now they're releasing the trailer.
Now they're releasing the CinemaCon trailer.
But yeah, the Werewolf trailer was showing. Heard good things about it. People saying, scariest Eggers movie yet. That's just kind of the buzzword type shit you expect to hear, though. So.
It's definitely going to be brutal. Sounds more promising than, the recent, Wolfman movie they made.
Yeah, definitely. It's Eggers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll pretty much watch anything Eggers puts out. So
Eggers is basically, I love the concept of Eggers basically doing his own take on, the Universal monsters. He did Dracula, now he's doing the Wolfman.
Yeah.
He needs to, do a mummy movie next.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting a mummy movie, this week.
We are,
It's so soon that it's not even on this week's On the Horizon.
You're right.
And it's from Lee Cronin, who did Evil Dead Rise, which we mentioned when we talked about Evil Dead Burn earlier. So it's all connected. Connected. But that's it for our CinemaCon coverage. Now we're going to move on to some of the trailers that were released around this time. Some of these from CinemaCon, or at least one of these from CinemaCon, 2 of them not. But we got a trailer, finally, for The Punisher One Last Kill. This is the special. It's not a series, but a Marvel special presentation, kind of like they did with Werewolf by Night.
Speaking of werewolves.
It's all connected, man.
It's all connected. They did Werewolf by Night as a one-off. This is a one-off. This apparently takes place after Daredevil Born Again Season 2. That's why this is airing. I believe this is airing exactly 1 week after the end of Born Again Season 2.
It is indeed.
Yes. So that's
and we'll be
cool.
discussing it a week after we discuss Daredevil Born Again.
Right.
For that very reason. But yeah, Punisher, one last kill. You know what's the one most interesting thing I saw in this trailer?
What?
It was a credit. It said, written and executive produced by John Barenthal.
Yes. This is I guess this is a little passion project from Barenthal, Yeah. So that's really cool.
Other than that, I mean, it looks like Punisher. It looks good. It looks like a brutal story where a guy's kind of losing his mind a little bit and succumbing to rage and
dealing
all
with
sorts
his
of shit
trauma.
going on.
Yeah.
There seems to be a kid in trouble or something at some point.
Yep. Looks like it's going to be great. We got a trailer for The Boroughs. This is a Netflix film about several residents of an old folks home dealing with supernatural occurrences. This is from the executive producers of Stranger Things.
Yep. This looks like Stranger Things, the producers of Stranger Things said, you know what movies I really, really liked? And they just started rattling off Batteries Not Included, Cocoon.
Yes.
And then one of them said, what about Bubba Hotep?
Yeah, what about Bubba Hotep? Yeah.
And so they made The Boroughs. Yes. Fantastic cast.
Yeah, fantastic. Alfred Woodard, Alfred Molina, I believe, is in that. Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
Yeah, good cast.
It's we talk about how in the 80s we had all these kids adventure movies like Goonies and Monster Squad, and Stranger Things was kind of based on that. But we also had, like I'd mentioned, we had stuff like Cocoon and Batteries Not Included that were kind of elderly adventure movies, So I guess we're getting our elderly adventure movie now that we had our kids adventure series with Stranger Things.
Right.
But yeah, I think that looks good. I'm excited for that one. And then lastly, we got a trailer, or kind of more of a teaser, for Godzilla Minus Zero. We'd mentioned before that the director, Takashi Yamazaki, was there at CinemaCon, and this was why, because he was showing off the trailer for Godzilla Minus Zero. But this one they decided to actually release to us. Thanks, guys. That's really nice.
That's really nice, yeah. Because, this is a Toho production and not an American production, so...
Yeah, but Godzilla Minus Zero, a lot of it's footage from the old movie.
Yeah, it takes place 2 years after the end of the first film. The cast from the first film is returning, and this time Godzilla takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
Godzilla...
You see the Statue of Liberty.
Godzilla the 13th, Part 8. Godzilla takes Manhattan.
Yep. I can't wait for Godzilla to get into a fight with a boxer and punch his head off.
I can't wait for the entire movie to take place entirely on a boat for, the runtime until the last 10 minutes is in New York.
Oh yeah, where he uses a spear gun to take out someone's testicles?
Yes.
I believe that was in it.
That was in it, for sure.
Yeah, why is Godzilla on a boat? How does he even sustain his weight on the boat? And why is he using a spear gun to take out some guy's testicles? That's weird. Why is he wearing a hockey mask?
Yeah, why is he wearing
How did he get a hockey mask that fits?
All good questions that will be answered in the movie.
Yes.
Super excited for that. I loved Godzilla -1, so that's going to be great.
Yeah, that's an exciting one. And that is it for our On Beat segment. So we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week we are talking about the Hulu original movie, Mike and Nick and Alice, which stars Vince Vaughn, James Marsden, and Isa Gonzalez. So, yes. Do you prefer the performance by Vince Vaughn or the performance by Vince Vaughn?
I think Vince Vaughn gave a better performance. I thought Vince Vaughn was okay, but Vince Vaughn definitely brought his A game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is it's interesting concept for a movie, which is it's like a mafia comedy.
Yeah,
but it's
comedy
with a time travel dynamic.
Yeah, a little dash of sci-fi involved.
Yeah,
so it's interesting. Also interesting as we're getting to this topic in our podcast, and up until this point, I don't know your opinion of this movie. Usually you have an opinion that you relate to me beforehand, before we do the podcast. I think this is one of the first times where I don't know what you thought at all.
I have mixed thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to attribute it directly especially to the people involved, and that I think the cast did an excellent job. I think they were hilarious. I think they had great chemistry with each other. Even the small parts were like fun and entertaining, and the way they interacted was fun and entertaining. Also, that means I gotta give credit to the writer. It was written and directed by Ben David Grabinski. I think he did a great job writing, unless the actors all just fucking ad-libbed all their shit.
Unless they had, because like the dialogue was like really snappy, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
The characters were all really fun in this.
The chemistry between them and everything was really fun, yeah.
Yes, I had like a really fun time with this movie. I do think that
it was very poorly directed.
Yeah, I think that like, story-wise, it's a bit uneven story-wise. It doesn't move at a fast a clip as you would expect. There's some flashbacks and stuff that kind of slow things down a bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a too big deal, but they do like a bunch of flashbacks, which it kind of like blunts like the forward momentum of the script.
The logic is also kind of bullshit.
Yeah. But
logic,
anytime
you do time travel, logic like comes into play, like how believable it is, like certain decisions they make and stuff based on the premise. Mm-hmm. And here it's like very dodgy, like super dodgy, some of the stuff that's going on there. And like I said, I think the direction's pretty piss poor. I think a lot of the editing and the camera shots just, not good.
With time travel plots and stuff, I just kind of take the tack that I just accept the logic the movie's giving me. Mm-hmm. It's not like time travel's like a real thing that people do anyway, so it's
but even so, like I don't get like, Neil deGrasse Tyson about it or anything. But there are things that like
I think it's just
get screwed up
too.
When you do time travel, like when you kind of ignore your own logic, because I think a lot of times with time travel, you make your own logic.
Yeah, when
you don't stick to your own logic.
Yeah, when the movie breaks its own rules it establishes, then that's annoying. Yes.
Yeah, like they make a big point of pointing out that like, oh, okay, so if, past Nick dies, then future Nick will die. And they do that, but then they never play into the fact that he killed the fucking inventor of the time machine. So when was he going to use the time machine? And they kind of correct that at the end, kind of, but it's like it's pretty bad. It's not a great, he had a second one. It's like, yeah, but Nick didn't know that, so how would he have traveled back? Like, it's
Wait, what do you mean? Because, like, the first time around, a different set of events happened. So he traveled back, and then when he traveled back, he killed the inventor, and then...
And destroyed the time
that timeline, he destroyed the timeline, and a completely different set of events happened. So the inventor's dead.
Present Nick would still have to go back in time for it to work.
Yeah.
Like, they established that by the fact that Nick was tied to Nick. So, like, if they hadn't established that, it wouldn't be an issue, I think.
Right.
But since they established that, it was like, and then also I was like, the whole time, like, they had the scene where he was, like, dying in the back of the car. I was like, how are they gonna do the pop out? How are they gonna have Nick disappear? Like, and they kind of just did it in the most real basic way, so I wasn't too happy with that.
I don't know if it was like, I don't know, like, if I have that criticism. I think it was like, they did it in a poignant way. I think artistically it's like, you didn't need to see it. You didn't need to see him vanish. Just like the whole thing, past Nick dies, and then the next shot you see future Nick is no longer in the back seat. He's gone.
I think there are a multitude of ways. I'm not talking about just showing the effect. I mean, like, there are a multitude of ways they could have played that would have been way better.
I actually like how subtle they did that. I actually appreciated the subtlety. Because it made it really find it subtle. It made it more poignant. It's subtle in that, like, they don't focus on it, right? It just happens, but you're focused on other things, and then you notice he's not there, right?
It's when I say, like, I don't think it worked well, what I mean is, like, I think the better way to handle it would have been to not see present Nick die and have the understanding that he died come into play by seeing that future Nick wasn't there anymore.
Right.
I think that would have made a much bigger impact. I think it would have worked better. It would have had more pop to it. And they didn't do that. Instead, they just did like a traditional, he died in the back seat, and then the next shot he's not there. So I think that was kind of like one of the weakest ways they could have done it.
Right.
I think a lot of this comes down to, I just don't think, I haven't seen anything else by Ben David Grabinski that I know of. I don't think he's a good director.
Yeah, I haven't seen his other movies he directed. apparently Cost of Living in 2011, something called Happily in 2021.
Yeah, just judging by this movie, there was a lot of stuff that in the direction that I thought was kind of sloppy and not great.
And apparently he did some uncredited writing for Coyote versus Acme.
Okay. I think he was fine as a writer.
Yeah.
I think the writing turned out well. I think like they did a good job of making kind of like a funny mafia movie. You know, even outside of the conceit of time travel and stuff. Even take all that out of the question, I think it was a pretty funny mafia movie.
He was apparently a writer and showrunner on the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot in 2019.
I think he's fine as a writer. I think he's not a great director.
Right, and that's fair. That's perfectly
fair. Like the directing felt like very.
I think he came up with a great
made for Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was definitely like, I think that's why this was like a direct to Hulu, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, you get direct to streaming movies that are good, that are well directed. I mean, like the Roadhouse remake was very well directed. You know, like this was not well directed.
Well, the Roadhouse remake was originally supposed to be a theatrical film, and Amazon screwed Doug Liman on that, like by canceling the theatrical release. Like,
regardless, there are direct streaming movies that are well directed. There are TV episodes that are very well directed. I do not think this was competently directed.
You just had like this felt like direct to video. I was just agreeing with that. It was direct to streaming, and that's largely because you watch it and it doesn't look like the type of thing that you'd be confident releasing in theaters.
It kind of took me out of it on a few occasions. What saved it for me was the writing and the performances.
Mm-hmm.
I think the performances were spot on. I think Vince Vaughn was great. I think James Marsden was hilarious. I don't really know much about Isa Gonzalez. I think she did great. She worked perfectly.
I think all the actors did great.
Keith David was what you'd expect from Keith David. Great. Jimmy Tatro, who I loved in American Vandal, killed it. He was the hidden gem of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
He was absolutely hilarious. And just like the little nicknamed mafia figures that would pop up here and there, you know, like the dumbass guy and the roid rage guy.
They were all
really funny and they had great chemistry together.
They're all very eccentric characters.
I mean, Simon, like the whole opening scene of him singing and stuff. It was funny, except it just went on too long. That's a directorial mistake in my opinion.
I disagree with it. I like that because they got Ben Schwartz for that, and his character doesn't really play a role in the movie except for as a plot device, right?
Yeah.
So I thought opening the movie on Ben Schwartz having this little musical number before he's killed off and we get to the real plot. I thought that was fun. I thought that was I thought that was a fun way to open the movie.
Let me clarify. What I'm saying is that I think it was a good idea. I think Ben Schwartz killed it.
Yes.
I think the directing and editing of it was dog shit in that scene, just like the rest of the movie.
I'm not going to disagree with you there, but yeah.
It got old, not because the idea wasn't good, but because there was no proper coverage. They could have done all sorts of shit. They could have done close-up cuts to his hands fiddling or other things to kind of keep momentum going in that opening scene, and they didn't. It's just there. It's just happening. It's just completely reliant on Ben Schwartz to carry the whole thing by himself. And I think that is my issue with this movie, is that the direction is just bad. It's not even it's not great. It's not oh, this isn't Robert Eggers or this isn't legendary comedy directing material or something. I mean, it's bad. It's really not good. It's blockbuster original movie bad. And I think it ends up surviving and being a good watch purely based on the writing and the actors. I think they carry it. So
yeah, no, I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
Definitely the writing and the actors definitely win the day in this.
Yeah.
And that's about all I have to say. Really.
Here's what I'm saying. Picture this movie as it was, with the same story, the same cast, everything, and only replace the director.
No,
replace him with David Leitch.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. The directing was bad. Yeah, I get it.
I'm just saying, if you replace this director with, say, David Leitch, who does, action comedy really, really well, you know? All of a sudden, you have, a completely different movie. You have a movie here is, a fun movie because of the cast and the writing and stuff. You put David Leitch helming it with everything else being the same, and all of a sudden you have like a great movie.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not just the directing's bad. It is by far the weakest point of the whole movie. But it was taking me out of the movie. It was bad enough that it was taking me out of the movie on several occasions. But yeah, I mean, that's how I feel at least. Like I said, cast was phenomenal. Stephen Root, we didn't mention him yet. Dolph Lundgren had like a very small role. I wouldn't call it a cameo, but a very small role. All great.
Yep, all fantastic.
Yep, and a cat. As a fan of cats, I love seeing cats.
A very good kitty.
Yes. But that is it for Mike and Nick and Alice. That is available on Hulu. Like I said, even though I really despise the direction and think it's garbage, the movie still works because of the writing and the performances. So I'd still recommend it as just like a fun watch. If you just like kind of mafia cliches and then like the idea of a mafia cliche comedy being done with like a time travel gimmick or something.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It's fun.
We set up for like an unnecessary sequel, I think, but yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I hope they don't do a sequel. I think this is a one and done.
Yeah, I agree.
Next week, Invincible, Season 4.
Yes, looking forward to that.
So stay tuned for that. That'll be our discussion. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on those platforms. He is at Foxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container store for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all that stuff is there. You can also subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast plan of choice like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of our podcast as well as additional content is available on our YouTube channel. So check that out as well. Thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good
night. Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.